Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
I am.
Good morning. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2017. This morning, we'll hear the regular items, the new transfer, expansion, hardship applications. If you have a phone, please put it in silent or vibrate. When I call the case, please step forward and state your name into the microphone. If you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. Calling the first item on the morning docket, Robert Cobb, Matthew Russell, and Catherine Barrett, Cobb Theaters, Rotunda, LLC, Cinebistro at the Rotunda, 711 West 40th Street. It's a Class B beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application for new Class B beer, wine, liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article Section 121603C2I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people with outdoor table service.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you all raise your right hands, please, if you're going to testify?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and are you counsel? Okay, will you identify yourself for the record, please?
Leanne Schreckengost with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Before we get started, let me just ask a couple of things, because this is slightly different than what we normally see. The applicants are not Baltimoreans.
Ms. Barrett is.
Ms. Barrett is? Okay. Okay. It says here she lives in Houston. That's why I was...
Oh, no. She lives here in Baltimore. She lives on Lake Avenue.
Oh,
Here
okay.
in Baltimore City and has for the last 4 years and is a registered voter.
Okay, well, that clarifies that issue. And then the second issue, in the ownership breakdown. So we have 3 individuals who each have 1% interest, and who holds the other 97% interest?
That would be Cobb Theaters.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you want to tell us about this venture?
Certainly. As indicated, we're here for a Class B license. The capital investment breakdown is part of your package. I have another copy if you need it. There's a $3.3 million investment going into the establishment. It's being funded through existing operating capital of Cobb Theaters as well as a line of credit through Fifth Third Bank. The seating capacity is well over the 75. This is a dine-in theater. There's a restaurant, a patio, and dining in the theater itself. So we far exceed the minimum of 75 seats for that. As Mr. Akras indicated, we're also requesting outdoor patio seating. There's a patio that is going to be enclosed with commercial-grade fencing with a fire exit only. There's 24 seats out on the patio. Its ingress and egress is only through the restaurant portion of the theater. It's monitored by waitstaff and is visible from the interior of the building. So it would be treated just like a patio at any other restaurant would be treated. So that's the general overview of that. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Russell, who is one of the applicants and the Director of Operations for Cobb Theater, just to give you a little bit of background on the concept.
Yeah, before you do, let me just ask you, because I haven't been over there in a while. Is the theater open now?
It is not open currently. Again, my name is Matt Russell. I'm the Regional Director for Cinebistro.
When is it
It'll
expected?
open February 24th.
Oh, okay, that's soon, okay. All right, you want to tell us about
course.
your operation?
Cinebistro is a world-class fine dining-esque restaurant and luxury theater that caters to adults 21 and over, featuring a chef-driven menu, all reserved seating, and as you said, a world-class experience. So we feature first-run movies. We do in-theater service, so that's actually service at your seat. We also do theater service with combination of bar, lounge, and of course the patio that we're asking for here. Then one of the main keys is, again, being 21 and over, first-run movies, that adult luxury experience.
So is this theater going to show just one film at a time?
We have 7 different theaters, so we will
Seven.
show 7 different films.
Okay.
So every week when new releases come out, we get each of those new releases each week.
And so, and each of those 7 theaters has access to the restaurant?
That's correct. So service actually in your seat for each of those theaters. Our wait team goes from one theater to the next every 30 minutes as we have showtimes.
So while I'm sitting watching this movie, people next to me are ordering dinner?
Well, the great thing is we actually stop service before the movie begins. So we ask that you get to the movie theater. Let's say it's a 7 o'clock film. You get there at 6:30. We seat you, servers come right to you, you never have to get up. We bring everything to you, but before the movie starts. So before the lights go down, service is happening. As soon as your actual feature film begins, the wait staff is ensured you have all your food, drinks, and then we do exit the theater. You can get up and get concessions at the bar or anything, refills, but we want to make sure we maintain the director's perspective of a undisturbed movie experience.
My recollection, and I may be wrong, at the Rotunda was there was a large contingent of elderly folks who came there on a regular basis as well. Is that still
We have a lot
anticipated?
of residents around the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and we look forward to incorporating them into our normal customer base.
Okay. So the commissioners have questions?
So I was there yesterday.
Great.
I go to the other things there. It's changed
As in?
markedly.
And I would like, to that point, here's some renderings of what it looks like now.
Right, it's significantly changed. There's a whole new market of people, and I know the councilwoman could elaborate on that, but the patio, is that going to be in the front,
Correct.
right off of the parking lot, or in the back?
Correct, it is in the front.
So anybody coming through and driving to go to Mom's or the drugstore will be able to see the patio?
Correct.
There's a building, so if you're going towards the theater, and then there's a building to the right. Are you going to be using that building? It looks like it's set aside for dining experience.
That's not part of us.
That's not part of you. And then to the left is the residential, the condos, yoga village.
Correct.
You have nothing to do with that.
We do not.
And then there's a little hut in the middle of all of that, like a gazebo.
There's a couple kiosk hut things. We
Kiosks.
have nothing to do with
Nothing
this.
to do with that. I know you have nothing to do with Starbucks. So that's good. You wish, right? Don't we all? Yeah, go to Starbucks, everybody. It's really a great place. What I wasn't real clear on, so it's first-run movies 21 and over. So will the movies have like no G-rated movies? Because like I've got a 10-year-old.
Sure.
She loves Moana. It's a first run. Does she not get to go see Moana at your place?
Correct. We feature our films catering to the audience, at the age demographic, who we know is our customer base. Looking at what we do from the fine dining restaurant piece, we want to make sure that people come in for that experience of a white tablecloth dining experience.
So more than likely you won't be showing Moana
More than likely.
there. Okay, then I guess I feel better about it. Okay, those are the questions I had.
And then before Commissioner Greenfield, I just want to note for the record, we have a letter from the Hamden Community Council dated February 7 in support of the application. And I assume, Councilwoman, you're here to support?
Support, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Commissioner Moore, there are some adults that do enjoy Moana, so
I
if you ever want to show it, it's a beautiful film. That aside, a couple questions, and you guys have done a lot of advertising. I applaud you. I thank you for your investment, because I know the Rotunda has been largely static, so I personally appreciate that. Let me just ask a couple questions so that we're all on the same page.
Yes, sir.
You understand the rules and regulations with respect to buying from wholesalers?
We do.
Okay, can you talk to me a little bit about your understanding?
Our vendors, whether that's beer, liquor, wine, everything, we have a traditionally set up relationship where they come to us, we place the orders, we pay them on site. You know, it's a normal relationship that we do business in all the other states and counties.
And then we also know that there are college students in the area, and 21 and over is your requirement, which I appreciate. I presume you'll have stringent carding requirements.
We do.
Can you talk to me a little bit about
We have
that?
a couple different methods we use. First and foremost, there's an intensive training process that goes with our normal, not just opening process, but as people are hired after we open. So it is in our corporate training manuals as far as how we card, when we card, who we ID, how we ID. But to give you an example of some of the also technologies we use, we do have card scanners at our front concierge desk. So people that appear 30 and under are carded at all times. Now, if there's ever any question, we reserve the right to card any of our guests, not just once, but multiple times through their experience. As people work their way through the concierge desk, yes, they've agreed to that they're 21 when they purchase the tickets, either online or through our concierge desk. But we do card them at the desk, we card them at the bar, and we let them know they could be carded again inside because there's different service. You know, if you're getting a drink at the bar versus a drink in the theater, you can be carded multiple times, and usually are depending on, again, how they appear.
Well, you raise an interesting question that occurs to me. So if someone buys online and they come in,
Correct.
so they could, if they're buying online and say, yes, I'm 21, and maybe they're not.
Right.
So are you carding everyone that appears 30 and under?
Every single person that walks in the door, regardless if they're going to buy alcohol, because it is a normal requirement just to be 21 to enter the building, regardless of consumption. everyone is carded.
Okay.
We also have e-tips training for our staff. We also have our in-person proctored tips for each of our management staff.
Your Honor, one last question. So who will be managing this? It seems to me that you're running multiple
I am.
facilities all over the country. Who's going to be managing, who's going to be
Derek
running it, who's going to be on the ground and
Derek Farrar
responsible?
Derek Farrar lives here.
Can you identify yourself and spell your name, please?
Derek Farrar, Derik, Farrar. I'm the general manager for Cine Bistro at the Rotunda.
Thank you.
So you have experience at liquor establishments?
I have 25-plus years experience with restaurants, most recently 7.5 years with Fleming's Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar, prior to my 1 year with Cine Bistro.
Great.
That's why I recognize you. My daughter used to work at Fleming's,
Okay,
Zara.
okay. Gotcha. I was with the one in Richmond in North Carolina.
Oh, okay,
but
so you
certainly
went in-
familiar with the one up here, good friends with the
But you don't look to be over 21.
Well, thank you.
So,
None of you do.
Zone
none
establishment.
of you do.
I like you a lot.
Sir, can you also identify yourself and spell your name, please?
Sure, excuse me. I'm Fred Myers. I'm Vice President for Cine Bistro with Cobb Theaters.
Okay. I just have a question out of curiosity. You obviously run this operation in other places?
Yes, sir.
And I've never been in a movie theater where people were having dinner at the same time. How does it work well? People, they don't annoy one another?
One of the great things is because we hire such world-class culinary talent in our kitchens, we serve that 30 minutes before the movie. So when people get to know us, and it does take a few weeks for people to understand who we are in the process, but after that first few weeks, it's very smooth from the guest perspective because people get there 30 minutes early. Again, 7 o'clock show, you get there 6:30. We're serving, people are dining, and I would say a good 80-90% of our guests are done before the movie starts. And when I say done, I mean done with their dining experience. They still have either a bottle of wine or their mixed drink, whatever they got for the rest of their experience. But the dining portion is very fluid, very easy, and again, it's so convenient because it's at your seat. All the hustle and bustle happens elsewhere.
So you go salad to main course to dessert in a half an hour?
We don't actually course. It's a great point.
Everything
Great
comes at
observation.
once?
We don't course because we don't have the time to. So if you order appetizer, entree, dessert, we serve those all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Our chefs are very specific. We don't do ice creams. We don't do soups. We don't do things that aren't going to be shelf stable because a lot of our guests do enjoy the Cine cake or a creme brulee throughout the movie. But they will finish the appetizer and entree before that.
And are they just sitting in regular movie theater seats, or?
Oversized, luxury, leather, reclining
There's
back
something
seats.
that
And we
comes
have a
out.
tray table on each seat.
Okay.
The seats have cup holders to hold either any beverages. We also have wine stands for chilled wine. There's quite a
Oh, I
few
see.
different, they are custom seats. These are proprietary to us. We did design them. And they're really one of the major, I would say, competitive advantages we have from a capital, a physical standpoint beyond our exemplary service.
Well, I applaud you. This is creative and interesting.
We guarantee once you do it our way, you don't go back the other.
I don't know if I can
hope
eat
that's
dinner
on
at
record.
6:30, but.
Lots of napkins.
Did the commissioners have further questions?
I guess, I mean, this is novel and new to Baltimore. And my general last question is, like, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've had with this model of business as it relates to alcohol?
As it relates to alcohol, we haven't had any challenges really to date in any of our markets that I would consider challenges because of who our guest base is. When I look at challenges in general, it's really just new markets understanding who we are. There's a conception of what theater, food, and beverage is. And because we've really shattered those, it takes a little while for people to understand what we do. But once they do, they see us as we are. When I say our world class, we are the world leader. And we're very happy to bring that to Baltimore. But it just kind of takes a little education time for what we do and who we are.
So many people really identify after they've experienced us. They really identify us more as a restaurant
Yes.
that shows movies as opposed to a movie theater that serves food.
Huh,
It's quite
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly would be good for that particular part of town, so, yes.
We're looking forward to it.
But they also have popcorn.
We do. We did not forget the Junior Mints popcorn Twizzlers. We still have all that.
There's kids in all of us still. But
Yeah, and I'm with the Goobers Market, so I
There you
really
go.
hope that you have those.
Anything further?
Oh,
All right.
did-
Can I say a word?
Oh, yes, please.
Hi, Mary Pat Clark, Baltimore City Council. So I'm here in support of this application. Thank you for hearing from us. The issues that I've been concerned about have been addressed, and they have to do with parking. Their employees as well as guests will be parking in the garage, correct? And so they won't impact the neighborhood, and that's very, very important because we have a little bit of a tug of war between merchants in the community and residents in the community about residential permit parking, and so there's no breathing room left around the rotunda. I'm very excited that this company has come to Baltimore. I wanted a place, originally I wanted a place there like we had there where kids come and, you know, there were 4 theaters and kids could come and would come and so I have to admit that I argued against just something that was 21 and over. But here they are. And so I've been over there, I've met with them, I've visited, I've toured. And I think it's a good operation. I'm glad that they've abided, and they've gone to not only the Hampton Community Council and agreed to a memorandum of understanding, but I was at the meeting where at the Hampton Village Merchants Association earlier this week, where they received the vote of approval to go forward. So I'm very happy to join that approval process and wish them the best of luck.
Thank you.
I know that we have to move on, but I think once you get in and you start operating and you really are in the community and you see who the community is, you will see that there is a missed opportunity in not being open to younger demographic, and you might think of a way to have a special event or some special events that would bring in families, because it's a very, very young family, grandparent family,
Yeah.
Great-grandparent family community. You've got every demographic represented. Maybe you're going to be making so much money from the 21 and over crowd, you won't need it, but it's just
That's
something to
right.
think about
I mean,
going forward.
I never like to pop things on people, but since you said that, Ms. Moore, I would like to add I would like to second the motion. It might not be true, but I've heard when I was going through my protest with Hakimian that there were some operations that this company runs that they do have kids on special occasions or special times or some such thing. So if that's really the case, I would hope that they would keep that in mind for Baltimore until we can open a second-run theater nearby where, you know, kids can go,
It's a great
because
idea.
that's what we really need to.
I could address, make a statement about that if I can. I
You have
mean,
to speak into the microphone.
Sure.
sir.
You know, everybody thinks out-of-towners, you've got a process and a path of your concept. The great thing about our company, we're privately owned, and really it's a small group of people that run Cobb Theaters. We're very much into the local market and the communities. If guests give us the feedback that from time to time children are wanted, we certainly take that into account, and we have done so at other locations as well. So there's a approach that's local up to corporate, not corporate down to local. That's why we're all here, as a matter of fact, to represent that kind of attitude. So we respond to the marketplaces that we're in. We come in with our core approach. If the market and the location demand something different without us throwing out the bathwater, right, we'll address that. So never say never.
Yep, and you can start with Moana, and I'll be there with my granddaughter. The last thing I wanted to add is the parking does appear to me to be addressed by the multi-level parking garage that is not necessarily attached, but paces away from the theater.
It's literally paces away, 6 stories, 800 spaces, more than what we need.
More than you need.
And that is addressed in the MOU that's part of the file, as well as, you mentioned the one letter from the Hampton Community Council. There's also a letter from the Hampton Village Merchants Association.
Parking is
as
very
well.
important to us. That's why we're offering a 6-hour validation.
Oh, super.
Not just with with our ticket, same-day purchase, 6-hour validation. For our experience, the center itself, it's very important to us, again, to integrate into our local community.
No, I'm sorry to do this before we ever had a chance to talk about it, but we did talk about it. But you're paying for your employees are parking there at no cost to themselves, correct? That's all.
Okay, and council, they understand that their license will be subject to the terms of the MOU?
Yes,
Okay.
And the MOU is part of the license?
yes.
Okay.
All right, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the additional documentary evidence that's been provided this morning, including the letter and MOU from the Hampden Community Council, on the basis of the testimony provided here by everyone, I would vote to approve the application of the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license subject to the terms of the MOU.
I concur.
I concur as well, and thank you for investing in the city. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you.
Our pleasure. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, cover letter dated February 7, 2017, an MOU between applicants and Hampden Community Council. Exhibit number 2, letter of support, Hampden Village Merchant Association. Applicants Exhibit 1, renderings of establishment. Thank you.
I don't want to go backwards, but do we have the financials, the financial investment information? That, that's, okay, all right. Okay, I think that's enough. All right, thank you.
Mr. Akris?
Call the next case, Casey Jenkins and Terrence Hostin, Birdland Sports LLC, trading as Birdland Sports Bar and Grill, 6317 through 19 Bel Air Road. It's a Class B beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor license restaurant under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12, 1603 C2I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for 75 people with live entertainment and off-premise catering.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by my colleague Justin Williams, as well as the licensee applicants Casey Jenkins and Terrence Hostin.
Before we proceed, Commissioner Moore wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, I will be recusing myself from consideration of this matter.
Okay. Gentlemen, will you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
With your permission, I'd like to proceed by way of a
Please.
proffer.
Okay.
This is an application for a new Class B liquor license for 6317 Bel Air Road for Birdland Sports Bar and Grill. The requirements for this license are a seating capacity of at least 75 seats and a capital investment of $200,000. I've passed out some folders with some exhibits that I'd like to walk through. The first thing that you'll see in the file is an aerial photograph of the Bel Air corridor to sort of give some context to where this is located, as well as a street view photo from Google that shows the entryway to the restaurant. The restaurant is operating. It's been in operation since 2013. They previously had a BD7 license that they acquired from the prior tenant at this location. So they have been in operation for several years already. They recently transferred the BD7 license to another owner on Bel Air Road a little bit further down. They do have live entertainment at this location pursuant to the zoning board's approval in a 2011 case, a copy of which is included in the file that I've handed out. There are some conditions to the live entertainment that was originally approved for the prior tenant there, but those conditions run with the property, and they continue to be binding on the Birdland operation. The upper floor of the building is used as multifamily apartments pursuant to the zoning board's approval in a different case, so they just have the first floor there. As I said, they've been in operation since 2013. They operated previously under a BD7 license. They realized after they'd been in operation for a couple of years that they really didn't need a BD7 license for their location. They really are very much a restaurant. They do the vast majority of their business in the sale of food versus alcohol. They had made the capital investment necessary to qualify for a Class B license, and they've been looking for other locations in Baltimore City, and they wouldn't be able to be on a second liquor license if they were on a BD7 license. So they sold the BD7 license, as I said, and the board approved the transfer of that license a couple of months ago. And so now here we are with an application for a new Class B license for the same premises. The licensed premises has been operating without a liquor license. They haven't been selling alcohol, obviously. They've reduced their hours of operation and have been running mainly a catering operation in the interim while while they haven't had a liquor license. And they also closed the dining room temporarily to do some refurbishing.
When did they sell the BD7 license?
The transfer was approved in the fall, in November 3rd, so they haven't had it since that time. And they have recently, replaced the flooring and refurbished the inside of the restaurant.
So this construction is recent?
The original capital investment that's included in the file was made when they acquired the property with the original license back in 2013. They've spent an additional approximately $8,000 more recently in refurbishing the floors and the countertops and some of the kitchenwares. But the original capital investment of about $250,000 was made a couple of years ago when they first went in that space.
And they've had no violations with us?
They've had no violations. They've run a really family-friendly operation. With regard to the live entertainment that I mentioned, they really, they don't, this is not a nightclub. They have, a jazz band from time to time, but they don't have, real late-night operations, and they don't have, this is, like I said, it's very family-friendly. It's intended to be an asset.
What's their relationship with the community organization?
They have a good relationship with the community. We met with them about this project. The community declined to take a position on the application. I think they had some internal political things happening that I don't know the details of, but they are not here certainly in opposition today. And they have voiced no objection to the new license.
Okay. Commissioner Greenfield?
I don't think I have any questions. I think I'm.
I mean, as you know, Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Hassan have both been on licenses before. They were recently on the BD7 license. Mr. Jenkins is TIP certified. They have a policy of carding everyone who appears to be under 40 years old in their establishment. So they are very familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board. They understand how purchasing from the distributors works, and they intend to run this as a first-class operation.
So I'm clear, Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Hassan have never been in violation to our knowledge of.
No.
Great.
And the staff is trained and
The staff will be trained. They have some staff now. They may have some additional staff in the future. Everyone will be trained on alcoholic beverages safety.
okay. Anything further?
Nothing further?
All right, on the basis of the materials that were provided in the application, as well as this folder that Mr. Williams has given us containing additional evidence that proper from council this morning, I am satisfied that the application for the Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license should be approved.
I concur, and just a comment, Mr. Jenkins, thank you for your work with the community. I noticed the article, and I've been obviously aware. Thank you for what you're doing in the community.
Thank you. That's what we do. More so than restaurants, that's what we do.
Well, good luck. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a
Appreciate
great
it.
day.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Business Plan Package. Thank you.
I didn't realize.
Call the next case? Sure, you want me to wait?
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Say 1 minute, please.
No.
We're downstairs. Oh, God.
Calling the next case, Meritab Brahani and Loretta Gardner, MB Liquors Incorporated, trading as Royal Liquors, 1800 Division Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Chairman. My name is Jay Yu, representing the petitioner, Mr. Meritab Brahani and Ms. Loretta Gardner.
Can I ask them to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this transfer?
Yes. Mr. Brahani is the purchaser, and Ms. Gardner will be the qualified resident agent licensee. Mr. Brahani is the 99% shareholder, and Ms. Gardner will be 1% shareholder, having pecuniary interest in the corporation, which is MB Liquors, Inc. Ms. if I may proffer, Ms. Gardner is a lifetime resident of Baltimore City, and she has been at this location in this community for past 20 years. She is a property owner and paid property tax for past 20 years or more, and a registered voter, and she has no criminal record, no serious traffic violations or any traffic violations, not to my knowledge. She currently works as a nursing assistant, and she is a patron at the business actually, and she also sits on the board for the Jewel Heights Community Association. So she will have a tight control over the location since she's with the community association. So it's very interesting how she'll be the licensee for the.
Have they taken any position with respect to this matter?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
She is obviously of a person of good moral character, and Ms. Gardner and Mr. Brihani will be taking the alcohol awareness course soon after the board approves the transfer. And I did go over the regulations with Ms. Gardner and Mr. Brihani to the extent that what's necessary, the fact that Mr. Brihani has to purchase all the beer, wine, and liquor from the state-authorized wholesalers and distributors, and that he should have a very good policy within the business to check for the minors, that he should check anybody who looks under 40 and should ask for an ID, and that he should refrain from taking any other ID except for the green card, passport, military ID, and a state-issued ID, to make sure that he does not make the mistake of accepting a fraudulent or a fake ID. Mr. Brihani he has experience running a convenience store in DC, and he still works there. He's currently living in Silver Spring, but once he he's also purchasing the real property as well. So he'll be moving into the community to live there and work there. And he has a brother who's present here today. He has experience in working in the liquor business. Actually, he is a manager. I guess he's approved as a manager for a liquor store in DC. But DC has I think DC requires that a manager be approved by the liquor board and they issue a manager certificate. So he'll be helping Mr. Brihani, and Mr. Brihani will undergo alcohol awareness training along with Ms. Gardner. The business currently is operating from 9 to 11, and Mr. Brihani will maintain that. And Mr. Brihani is aware of the 1991 MOU that was made with the community, so he'll make sure he understands what's in the MOU and bind himself to that. And he also understands that anyone under 21 is not allowed in the store, so he'll make sure that as well.
Besides Mr. Brihani and Ms. Gardner and Mr. Brihani's brother, will anyone else be working there?
Yes.
How many people?
Two.
Two others?
Or brothers.
Okay. Part of your family? Yeah. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
So can we just get the names of the other people who'll be working?
They need to speak into the
And
microphone.
they probably need to be sworn.
Raise your hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please spell slowly. Spell your names.
ZerayabCob. Zerayab.
CVCOB.
ZEA.
Zerayab is your first name. Last name.
Zerayab. Zerayab Tesfabruk. TESFAS. No.
Yeah, you can write it. That'll help.
I have part of his name.
They're going to write it down.
TE.
So Could you just tell us your name, please? Just say your name, please.
Z.
No, just say your name. What is your name?
Zara Yaqub.
Okay. And all four of you will be working at the location?
Yes.
Yes?
Actually, Ms. Gardner works as a nursing assistant, so she will not be working at the store.
But she's a patron.
She's patient. She's there all the
Okay,
time.
so the 3 men will be working. Is that correct? Are you aware that you'll be working there?
Yes.
When will you be working there?
Now
Now?
in DC.
He doesn't understand.
Yeah, do you understand my questions?
What's he understand?
You don't understand my questions? Okay. I need someone who can answer as to when the place will be staffed, when people will be working there, and who?
He's working first now. He's working now, and then I'm together. He's working over there.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, is he working for the current owner now?
Yep.
What's it?
In Bal,
He works in D.C., right?
He's working in DC now.
in DC? Okay. Okay.
Who will be working at Royal Liquors?
Together.
The 2 of you? Okay. And do you know who's going to be doing what and when? Because I understand it, neither of you live in Baltimore. There's a plan to move to Baltimore at some point, but not yet.
Not yet.
So can you give us some sense of how this Royal Liquors will be run, how it will be managed, how it will be operated?
He live in the building now.
He lives in the building now? Okay.
He gonna believe he didn't live in now.
You have to speak into the microphone, sir. We can't hear you.
Brownie, is he living there now, or he will be living there?
He will live it.
He will be living there. Currently, we have not settled, so once the board approves, there will be a real property settlement along with the business settlement. So after the settlement, once they take possession, I believe Mr. Gentleman will be coming to work with Mr. Briani. Mr. Briani is the contractor. He's the contracting party. He's the actual purchaser. And so...
So Mr. Brani is the purchaser, but as I'm understanding it, his brother to his left will be the one that will actually be operating
No,
Royal
Mr.
Liquors?
Briani will be running the store.
Okay.
He's coming to help him there, so...
I see, okay. Okay. And you all have had alcohol training and understanding of how to handle alcohol, how to order it? Yes or no?
None yet. I'll arrange that with Miss Maria and then have all the people who will be working there trained, including Miss Loretta Gardner.
Okay. And what is the plan for making sure that there are no underage sales?
I did see on the record that there was 2009 violation cited, and first thing would be to have Mr. Brani and his brother and Miss Loretta and all the employees undergo the alcohol awareness training, and I will also create a policy for Mr. Briani, a very detailed procedure for checking the ID and also obtain a ID checkbook to make sure that how he knows how to compare the IDs from the out of state. They rarely get out of state IDs, but just in case.
Okay, those are all the questions I have.
Has there been any overlap with the current owner? Has the applicant or his brothers been working with the current owner at all in terms of a transition?
None yet, but pursuant to the contract, the seller is required to give them at least 2 weeks training, but Mr. Kim has indicated that he's more than willing to extend that 2 weeks to make sure that Mr. Brihani learns the trade.
Okay, because from my standpoint, that's critically important here because we're presented with an applicant who has not taken the alcohol awareness, still lives in D.C., although I understand there's an intention to move to Baltimore because there's a real estate settlement after the transfer. I understand kind of the domino effect. But to me, that's critically important that that transition occurs so that we can ensure that the applicants understand the rules and regulations going forward. I have no other.
So, Mr. Yu, a lot of the things that we would like to see in place are not quite yet in place, but there is a plan that you've outlined for us that would satisfy us that people are living and managing this on a careful basis and that they're properly trained and that they're aware of all the requirements. I just want to advise Mr. Brahani and his brother that if you don't live up to our regulations, you'll be back here, and we can close your operation, we can fine you severely, so you need to be very careful about whom you serve, where you purchase the alcohol, and how you run your operation. But given the proffers that have been made to us, the testimony you provided this morning, and the materials in the application, I would vote to approve the transfer. And it's, of course, subject to the MOU that was cited by Mr. Yu from 1991.
I think that you meet the bare minimum for qualification for a liquor license. I don't think at this point you seem to have any clue about what you're doing, and you're certainly not able to convey that. Based on the representations of your counsel and the MOU, I'll support the approval, but I am concerned that you get better able to handle this. And I'm also concerned about you, Ms. Gardner, as an officer of the Druid Heights Community Association. We typically hear their objections to liquor licenses, and here you are, a member of that board, and now you're a licensee. And I have concerns about that. I think you should as well, and certainly would be cautious going forward in making sure that there are no violations and that the concerns of the community are considered very exquisitely going forward.
I join with the other commissioners. I will say I have concerns as well. It just has not been articulated clearly to me, but I do think you meet the bare minimum. I will say that a saving grace here, I believe, is Ms. Gardner. You have some standing in the community, as Commissioner Moore cited, and I encourage you to make sure that your business partners here are on top of things, because you too can be brought back as part of, you're a licensee. So I'd encourage you to work very closely with your business partners here to make sure that going forward things are followed, that they are in fact present at the establishment, that they're following the rules and regulations going forward.
Well, that is my purpose for wanting to become a part of it, is I just recently became a board member, first off, of Druid Heights. And I saw in the documentation that Mr. Yu had where there was it was something implemented by Druid Heights for children or patient,
anyone under 21.
anyone to be carded over 21 to check for license for a proper aging. Now, my purpose for doing this is to make sure that this doesn't happen. That they do follow the law, because we live in a high crime area, and I don't want it to be another drug hangout. I don't want children going up there being able to purchase liquor or tobacco that's underage.
And I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you said, and I hope that we won't have to see you, as the chairman said, later in an afternoon docket down the road. It's critically important.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, folks, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
There are no exhibits for the record.
Calling the next case, Gebritsani Mangesteb and Leslie Frisbee Sr., New Fulton Liquors LLC, trading as CC Packaged Goods, 745 North Fulton Avenue. It is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicants.
Good morning. Would they raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And this is Mr. Mangesteb, how do you say it?
You know what I have to say?
Okay. And Mr. Frisbee.
Yes, Leslie James Frisbee, Senior.
Okay. Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
This is a transfer from an existing liquor store. Both Mr. Mendestep has had his alcohol awareness, and I'll give you a copy of his certificate as Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
Both of the applicants have been fingerprinted. I'll give you, that is Exhibit number 2. Each one of them.
Thank you. Will be received.
And it's going to be transferred from an existing location. Mr. Mendes-Stubbs has had prior experience. He worked at the Club Luzerne as a cashier. He served people. He checked their cards. He had 3 years' experience there. Prior to that, he worked in a DC liquor store. And each one of those places where he worked, they didn't have any problems. They're not going to make any changes in the operation. It's going to be the same type of operation that has been there, same employees. It's not going to make any physical changes on there. The other applicant, Mr. Frisbee, has had also had some experience and will help out as needed. He's the city licensee. There's only very few employees. It's a small store. They'll operate that the same way it has been in the past. All these stores, as you know, are in that list, the hit list. So, these people are taking somewhat of a risk here to go forward and not explain that to them, seeing what the eventual outcome of this is going to be in the future. But they're willing to put their money up and take the investment, which I think is noteworthy in the case here, knowing the situation as it goes forward.
And how long has he worked
Club
there?
Luzerne?
3 years.
3 years.
But you have not worked at CC Package Goods before?
Not the current location, no. He worked at the Club Luzerne.
Okay. And the current licensee, was he the licensee back 10 years ago when the various violations occurred?
Don't know.
Okay. All right, commissioners?
So we were given a drawing of what the establishment, about the layout, or I guess purporting to reflect the layout, and there's a lot of open space. So you come through a small door, and then there's a wide open space, and then there's a small section that's labeled store. Could you just explain this? What is the large open space going to be used for? And is the store, is that where the liquor sales are going to take place?
The storeroom, that's where they're going to have storage in the back. The open space is the actual floor space for the retail.
All right, so store is actually storage.
Right, in the back.
Who did the drawing?
I don't know if there's any pride in authorship in that.
Well, do you know who did the drawing?
Who did this drawing?
Who drew that? This one, my brother and...
His brother drew the drawing.
brother?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is just large open space, that's where the actual sales are going to be.
Correct. It's not a very big store.
A small store. Yeah, it's small.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have.
Mr. Frisbee, how long have you known Mr. Manjesteb?
2.5 years.
Okay, so you have a relationship and you understand your responsibilities as well as his. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Who's going to be working at the store? Just the two of you?
It's 2 of them, right?
Okay. All right. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the documents which have been provided to us this morning, which have been received, proffers from counsel, and testimony of the applicants, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve.
I concur.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, alcohol burner certification for applicants. Applicant Exhibit 2, background check receipts for applicants. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Narde Castellon and Ana Gladys Morillon, Luz LLC, trading as Telemares, 318 South Broadway. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Gary Maslin on behalf of the applicant.
Go ahead.
It's an application to transfer an existing Class B license, trading as Telemaris Restaurant. This licensee's...
Before you go, can I ask whether Luz LLC has ever been represented by Whiteford Taylor Preston? They showed up on my conflict sheet.
I doubt that very seriously. You're right.
Okay. All right. And can I ask them to raise their right hands, please?
How do
you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are you Mr. Castellon?
Yeah, that's me.
And you are Ms. Morion? Yes, okay.
Mr. Castellan is the 99.5% owner of this establishment. He's an individual who has extensive experience in the restaurant business. He worked for 25 years with the Ruth Chris organization, working his way up from waiter to head chef. He's ventured out now to take over this operation. It's not going to be a steakhouse. It's more of a Tex-Mex operation, but the quality of food will be on the level of hopefully what he was serving in the Ruth Chris operation. Telemaris is a nice, finally appointed restaurant. The building's owned by George Carabellis. It's had it for many years, and there's not going to be any changes in the operation physically, and he will continue to operate in a fine manner that was operated in the past. He's TAM certified. He understands the restaurant business, understands alcohol management, and is looking forward to taking over here.
Who will be working there?
That'll be me, sir.
Anyone else?
Yeah, my wife also.
Okay, but no other employees?
I got also another five servers.
And are they people who currently work there, or are they going to be new?
No, they're currently working there, sir.
Okay. Commissioners?
Will Jose Ribadenera have any interest in the operation of the restaurant?
Who?
Jose Ribadenero?
I don't know who's that.
You don't know who that is?
No.
Okay.
We would say, no way, Jose.
Will Manuel Arguetas have any interest in the operation of the business?
Manuel who? Huertas? It's
Argueta?
nobody else. It's just.
Do you know Manuel Arguetas? Do you know Manuel Arguetas?
Who knows Manuel? No.
So they're the owners of the building. Does that help you understand who they
The
are?
owner of the building, if I know, is George Carabellas.
George Carabellas.
George
It's under
Carabellas?
the Fairmount company.
Okay, never mind.
Qualified voters, I think, are those individuals.
Well, how did,
Commissioner Moore, that's what you're referring to.
okay, well, so,
Yeah, those are the.
but you don't know them.
Yeah, I don't. That's the one who used to own the Latin Palace.
I've really messed this up. I've made this so confusing. Do you know Jose Ribadenero?
He used to own the. Yes, I know Enrique.
Okay.
I don't know him by Jose.
Do you know Kevin Manning?
Yes, Manning.
And do you know Heber Portillo?
Yes.
And do you know Eugene O'Dunn?
Yes.
Right, and how long have you known them?
I would say 10, 12 years.
10 or 12 years. Okay. So the questions that I have.
So I'm just a little bit confused. Is Telemaris, does that exist now?
Yes.
It does, and it does not have a liquor license?
No, it has a liquor license.
Okay, so you're transferring it to, you're purchasing it from whom?
The existing licensees.
Okay, so, and those are the,
And one of those is staying on the license.
and that's Miss Moore?
Moore.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah,
Okay, so
she's-
Miss Mohan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your
That's
name. She has been on the existing license, she'll continue on
Yes.
the
Yes.
license, and, okay, I understand. And now, Mr. Castellon, you understand that, that Ms. Mohan has had violations against her in the past, as part of the license she held in the past?
Yes, sir.
You are familiar, and are you familiar with those violations? And can you give me some confidence that will prevent against these violations going forward?
What was the violation?
The nature of the violations of.
I can tell you exactly.
4.005 was a,
Deceptive minor.
No, that's 401. Mr. Akris, he's like an encyclopedia on this. 405 is,
405 is operating after hours.
So,
I'm aware of that when that happened, sir. That was after party when the place was just for these people. They already they purchased. We were not selling any more drinks after that. It was just for that party. It was not selling anything else after. So
no, and I appreciate.
You understand that you have to close promptly,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
can't have people in the place after 2 o'clock. You
Definitely.
understand that, sir?
Yes.
And to Ms. Morhoon's credit, she admitted guilt, and so that's in the past. But I just want to make sure that you're clear, that, okay.
It will not happen again.
And now, you live in Owings Mills, you currently work in the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions.
So I just want to express a concern. You were required to have 3 certified voters that certify that they know the applicant. And we have 2 sheets. On the first sheet, it's Kevin Manning, Heber Portillo, and Eugene O'Dunn. And my understanding is that Kevin Manning and Eugene O'Dunn are the only 2 qualified from that page. Heber Portillo did not qualify as a registered voter.
We
and
supplemented the application.
so then you supplement with Jose Ribadenero and Manuel Augustus, and by the testimony this morning, he doesn't know who they are. So they can't certify.
Well, does he not know them, or does he not know them by these names? What is,
I know them. I know them. I know.
what do you call them?
Enrique.
Both of them?
No, one
Jose?
Jose Viganero is the Latin Palace uncle, I believe. Something like that. But I know them.
Well, who is Manuel Arguetos?
How can I explain?
What do you call him?
I don't know them by Jose. I do not know them by Jose or Manuel.
Okay.
So it looks like Kevin Manning qualifies. Does Eugene O'Dunn?
Yes.
And Eugene O'Dunn qualifies. And you say Enrique Ribadenero. I only know him as Jose, but you say that you know this person.
Yes.
So that's your 3.
That's Enrique Viganero. It's the one who used to own the Latin Palace.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
All right. And how long have you known him?
About 8
years.
8 years, 7 years.
All right. He says he's known you for 4.
I know. I mean, I used to come to Latin Palace for a long time.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Before that, I'm sorry. Then I introduced myself.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything further?
No.
On the basis of the materials containing the application, the proffers from counsel, and testimony of the applicants, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve.
I concur. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
much.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
Okay. Calling the next case.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Bolden, Sooners Tavern Incorporated, trading as Sooners Tavern, 1600 Hazel Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing Mr. Bolden.
Good morning. Would they raise their right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
It's a transfer of an existing location. Mr. Popa is the current licensee. Whoops,
There we go.
fly by night.
Who's falling nowadays?
He is once a retired
I
and
don't get down as fast as I used to.
Who does?
I don't get up as fast as I used to. Here, who's this one?
Maybe, can I
Give
get
me
his
the-
name of
We need their names.
give me the names.
you, Mr. Bolden? Stanley Bolden?
Yeah.
And your name?
Popa. First name is Leonard.
So they want to sell in the business, a small neighborhood place in Curtis Bay. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, down by the Coast Guard yard. There's nothing across the street. It's all empty, small neighborhood. Mr. Popa has been there for a number of years. He wants to retire, get out of the business. Mr. Bolden wants to take over. He wants something to do. He's been retired for a little while here. He's been lived in the city. He's been working at the location for about the past month. Mr. Pope is going to stay on with him for about 30, 60 days or more. He's going to keep the same amount of employees that are there. There's no changes going to be there. He's familiar with the rules and regulations. I gave him a copy of the schedule of the rules for him to review. They open around 7 or 8 in the morning, and then they close. They can close at 2, but rarely is there enough customers that are in there. He's been fingerprinted, and he's scheduled to take the alcohol awareness course next week, if approved.
And what's Mr. Bolden's background?
He's 81 years old. He's retired, I guess. 80, I'm sorry.
80, don't push it on.
You told me Elvis was 81. You're 80. I got it. Okay. He's been retired for about the past 15 or 20 years. Lives on Fleet Street.
Okay. And you were a patron of the tavern?
Yes.
He's actually going to move over there. There's an apartment. So he's got an apartment there. When Mr. Pope moves out, Mr. Bolden's going to move in there, small, apartment upstairs.
Do the commissioners have questions?
Well, so the hours are going to be 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. That's what's authorized. And who's going to be helping you run this?
There are 2 people there right now. I want to keep them and maybe add 1 or 2 after that.
All right. And is it your intent to actually work there?
Yes.
And what hours will you be working?
Nothing really set, because I'll be living upstairs. So when I'm needed and when I just want to go in and, do it.
Mm-hmm. So will this be sort of like a hobby for you, do you think?
I always wanted to try it. I never have tried it. So I just want to find out. Like I said, I'm pushing 81, but anyway.
Yeah,
I just wanna
and
do
I
it.
don't want to be polite or in politic, but it's been brought up several times, your age, and you're just a little bit younger than my mom. And, well, she was also born in June of 1933. But the reality is that it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of rules and a lot of regulations and little hazards that one can fall into. And I just want to know what you've done to prepare yourself to handle all of this, because it's more than a little, it's quite a lot.
No, I feel good about it. I'm in great health. I want to try to build it up, in plain words, really. I plan on going around the neighborhood more and more, giving out cards. First beer is free, or first drink is free. It's got plenty of parking around it, so that's no problem. And it looks like a pretty good section with a couple corner stores and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not isolated.
And you said that there are 2 people that are there now, and you're going to keep them and
Yeah.
maybe add a third. The 2 people that are there now, how long have they worked at the location?
Quite a while, I believe.
Len would know that, because they've been with you for how long? State your name, Len Popa, and how long
Leonard Popa. Ron has been with me there for 20 years. The young lady has worked with me for about a 3 or 4 year period, and then she was off for a couple years doing something else, and now she's been back for 2 years.
And what is her name?
That's good, Tina.
Okay. Okay. And you'll take alcohol awareness and the training?
Yes.
Okay. And,
I don't drink. I haven't had beer in 40-some years.
okay, okay. But it's not for you, it's for,
He knows how to drink it.
right, I mean, but, okay.
Beer never did, but a friend of mine, we went, closed American Joe's one night, and we went home. He went to his house, I went to my house. He was a smoker. He died. After that, I just had nothing to do with drinking.
Yeah. Well, you're getting ready to have a lot to do with it, so I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the awareness training.
Right.
Okay, those are all the questions that I have.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
There's proof positive of the legal rule of the fertile octogenarian.
Okay, just, as a a heads up to you, Mr. Bolden. You try to maintain the staff that's experienced and have them manage this with a hands-on management, because otherwise you can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. On the basis of the evidence presented in the application and testimony of the witnesses, the proffers of counsel, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
Okay, I vote to approve the transfer and applaud your enthusiasm for a new experience.
I concur. Good luck.
Good luck, sir.
Best of luck
Thank
to
you.
you.
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't know what the hell this thing is.
Good
Oh.
afternoon.
Good.
All right, thanks again.
Yep, take care.
Calling next case, Jonas Nagash Incorporated, trading as Bayview Liquors, 3804 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Application to transfer ownership and location of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 718 South Grundy Street to 3804 Eastern Avenue.
Good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Nagash?
Yes.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
I'm waiting for my Gary Maslin.
Maslin.
Mr. Maslin's representative.
Mr. Melvin likes to pontificate a little bit more than that.
Yeah, well, because you weren't here, we've denied this one.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
President, can you swear Mr. Nagash, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mr. Maslin, do you want to advise us of what's going on here?
Jonas Nagash, he is a operator and owner of the building located at Bayview Liquors in Baltimore, 3804 Eastern Avenue. This is a request to transfer an existing BD7 license, which is due to expire from Grundy Street. It was the sole asset of a young lady that has this, maybe part of an estate. Mr. Nagash reached out to members of the community and secured a petition in support of the application, which I will submit. Mr. Nagash was the former president of the Highlandtown Businessmen's Association. This current license is on 3801 Eastern Avenue, which is right across from the Highland Town Market, a supermarket. So if you're not familiar with that location, right, it's kind of right in the center of Highlandtown. He, with the one incident where he was before the board in the past for sale to minor, he has operated there. Sorry, there's another petition. He's operated with that incident. He's very active within his community, within the business association. He's very supportive of all the other merchants. He's never had, his establishment is not a problematic establishment. There are other establishments on the street that have had incidents. He's been active in the community and supporting them in their efforts when there is an unruly establishment. Here's a letter he received in support from the Highlandtown Business Association in support of that. He did reach out to the Community Association, had dialogue with them as well, and is trying to come to terms with some sort of an agreement or understanding with them. But I believe his proposal will be an asset to the community. He's reached out. He has an architect. He submitted his plans. It's a first floor and second floor operation. The bar will be located on the second floor of the establishment. And
I failed to ask, was Nagash Inc. ever represented by White for Taylor, do you know?
No.
Okay, just needed to.
I don't think.
And to clarify, so the current licensee is at Grundy Street, and what he wants to do is operate this liquor store at Eastern Avenue at 3804, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. He's a current licensee. He has a license there. He has a Class A license there.
At Eastern Avenue?
At Eastern Avenue.
Okay.
He's going to replace his A with the BD7, and hopefully he'll have 180 days to remove it. He'll deposit that license with the board, and then we'll attempt to see if there's any.
And how long have you operated under your A license?
14 years.
14 years. And this incident back last year was the only violation you've had?
Yes. I mean, prior to that, very old violation.
Very old?
Yeah. But, since then, I did take care of it. You know, actually, when I came in the last time, I did explain what I did as far as putting a new POS system. That's helping us because with a pop-up, it wouldn't even allow you to sell, so.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I'm not sure what you mean by put your license on deposit with the board. I don't think we accept deposits of
Well,
licenses.
it would be an inactive license. you know,
Exactly.
Yeah, and he'd like to try it and market it to
It's up
some.
to him. We
Yes.
don't have, you just understand, we don't have a role in that.
I understand.
Okay, all right. That was my one question or comment.
Question.
Okay. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, testimony from Mr. Nagash, the proffers of counsel, and the exhibits which have been received this morning, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership and location.
I concur.
I concur as well, and Mr. Nagash, I do recall seeing you back in June on that violation, and I appreciated then your admission, and I appreciated the steps you took to ensure that it doesn't happen again, which you just raised, so thank you.
Good luck to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe.
Please call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, petition of support from community. Applicant Exhibit 2, letter of support dated February 8th, 2017, from Highlandtown Business Association. Is applicant Exhibit 3, floor plan. Thank you.
Call the next case, Lonnie Paul Abdullah and Bernard Truesdale, Itchy Palms LLC, trading as Loop, 4238 Frederick Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license. It's a request for hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202.
Mr. Kanansky,
For the
good
record,
morning.
Melvin J. Kanansky representing the licensees.
Would you all raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And would each of you state your name?
Bernard Truesdale.
Allison Hayes. Gail Worsley.
Okay.
This is a request for a hardship extension. I don't know,
The last name, I had names written down, but you weren't on my list. So can you spell your name, please?
Sure, it's Gayll. Last name is Worsley.
this is a request for a hardship extension. I don't know whether the board is familiar with this place. It gets the word, the Loop. This is where the car barn used to turn around years ago, across from where Mount St. Joseph High School is.
Irvington.
And in that area, there was, the applicants were, the licensees were doing a consolidation and changes in architecture in the building, and it was taking them a long time. As the architect is here to, if you want to ask any questions. The question was the last time they had done any business, and it's going to take them probably another 4 or 5 months to finish getting the consolidation of the lots. For whatever reason, the lots were never consolidated. We were working with then Councilwoman Helen Holton, and we had meetings with the community and so forth, and they were all in favor. And we just ran into problems in trying to get everything consolidated. The last time they did any business, according to the licensees, was in August 31st of 2017. I would submit copies of
You
the
mean
sales.
16, don't you? 16.
What did I say?
17.
I say
We haven't gotten to August yet.
Sorry, Tommy. That was the last time they did any business. I think in your paperwork, you mentioned something about July, and I was told, Mr. Ackles, and to be honest, we were not really sure what the date was, and they had provided me that material here. We have a lot of drawings and things about the architecture, but it's really not significant from the point of view as if they get the hardship extension. The hardship is that they can complete the consolidation and the getting the permits for the consolidate the buildings and rebuild the buildings unless they get the hardship extension.
When will the renovations be completed?
You can step, state your name.
So my name is Gail Worsley, and I've been working on the permit drawings. And so part of the holdup for the permit is that we're showing a tavern which crosses over 2 property lines. And so that's the crux of the comments, is that Under the building code, you can't have services which cross property lines. But now that the consolidation is complete, or actually it's processed through BG&E, it'll move forward through the permitting process. So it's just the remainder of the reviews that have to be
So when?
approved.
So the question is, if you are getting permits in, how long? You said 3 to 4 weeks?
3 to 4 weeks.
Then after that, would it be 3 or 4 months to finish it up?
Yes, we believe about 3 to 4 months to finish it up.
Okay, so one extension would do it.
That should do it, yes.
Okay, the commissioners have questions?
I'm just calculating
While she's doing
the
that, do you have
hardship.
questions?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I don't have questions. I appreciate all the work you've done to get your business back in compliance, though. I know things happen, and I appreciate the efforts you've taken to address this. And certainly understand how challenging it can be to go through a complicated process. But I do not have any questions.
Yeah, okay, just so for the record, it appears that business was closed as of July 30, 2016. You had 180 days to submit a request for a hardship extension. The time would have expired January 26, 2017, but you submitted on December 30, which was the 152nd day. Is that what you all recall? Okay.
That is correct.
That was my only question.
Okay. On the basis of the letter that was provided to us dated December 30 of last year and the other materials and proffers of counsel and testimony this morning, I would vote to approve the request for a hardship extension.
I concur.
I concur as well, and good luck. And please feel free to reach out to staff as things go forward to make sure they're at least aware, because, 6 months flies by. So.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Best of luck to you.
So I think that's the morning docket, is that? Well, we have exhibits.
Yes, I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Maryland Sales and Use Tax Returns for the period of August 31st, 2016. Thank you.
And that finishes the morning docket, I believe.
Yep, yep.
Do we have time for lunch?
Fine.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's afternoon docket. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2017. There's only one case on the afternoon docket. It is a specially set transfer application. If you have a cell phone device, can you please put it on mute or vibrate? When the case is called, please step up to the microphone, state your name into the microphone, and if you're going to be prepared to give testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. Calling the case on the docket. May I, Mr. Chair?
You may, please.
Joshua Foti and Lilia Poldame, 18 Cross LLC, trading as Crossbar, 18 East Cross Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership and location of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 1015 through 19 South Charles Street to 18 East Cross Street.
Good afternoon. Just two quick things. First of all, I want to apologize for being a little late. We ran over a bit this morning, so we were a little late getting started this afternoon. We'd like to stick closer to schedule, but we didn't make it. And the other question, Mr. Fogelman, before you begin, is 18 Cross LLC showed up on my conflict sheet. Are you aware of any connection they've had with my law firm?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Thank
It's
you.
a relatively recent creation.
Okay. You want to identify yourself for the record,
Thank
then?
you very much. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of applicants. I'm joined here by 99% owner Josh Foti. 1% applicant Lilia Poldame was unable to be here due to going to Florida to caring for her mother.
Okay.
And that was something that when we rescheduled this case, it unfortunately it had to happen.
I understand there are other people here interested in this matter, so could I ask anyone who wishes to provide testimony to come forward and raise their right hand, please? Mr. Foti. I think there's one more coming.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, in order to keep this straight, I'm going to ask each one of you to step up, state your name into the microphone, and spell it.
Starting to the left.
Oh, go ahead.
We'll do these.
Ivo, last name is Jamrosz, representing the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
Henry Valeri, that's Valeri, in opposition.
Okay. And you, sir?
Eric Costello, Costello, City Councilman for the 11th District.
Okay. And you, sir?
Josh Foti, that's Foti.
And you are the
Applicant.
applicant. Do we have everybody then? Okay, Mr. Fogelman, let me hear from you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I see just yesterday we executed the amendment to the MOU with the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. It looks like you do have a copy of that.
I do, and let me just state for the record what I have before me, okay? So there's an amended agreement between South Baltimore Improvement Committee, Inc., operating a South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, and the applicant, and is that, this entire thing, is that one, or is there another in here?
It looks like you have both the MOU and the amendment in your paperwork. I would be happy to introduce for Exhibit 1 both the original MOU and then an original amendment with original ink on
Okay,
it.
please give that to Ms. Russell, and that'll be received. And I also have before me a letter of February 3 in opposition, which I guess is from the gentleman here. Let me see. Signed by Mr. Valeri and I guess Mrs. Valeri? Yeah. Okay. Okay, those will be received.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, normally, from the olden days, we would always let the councilman speak first so they could get back to
And
work
that's
upstairs.
fine. And just before he does, and I don't want to hold him up, but just give a very quick background for the record so we place this in context.
No, I'll be happy to. Crossbar is located at 12 to 18 East Cross Street. It's been consolidated as a single property of 18 East Cross Street. It used to house Turner's Bar on the left-hand side and La Masa Produce on the right-hand side. Turner's had a capacity of 165 to 180 during its days of operations as a bar. It was a bar since the end of Prohibition. It did not have the greatest reputation on Cross Street. Nevertheless, it was purchased and demolished, and that liquor license there is no more. The request here today is to turn a liquor license from 1015 South Charles Street to the location at 18 East Cross Street. Back in 2014, and I'm sure some of you are aware of this history, this has a long history, starting with a board that I was involved with. And at that time, the first request for this premises involved a 300 capacity open air roof, no MOUs, no written agreements with anybody in the community, and the liquor board denied a transfer request at that time. Later, about a year later, the applicants came back with an MOU signed by the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, but they were unable to come to an agreement with the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. At that time, they did agree to cut their capacity to 155 persons. At that time, as you may know, the liquor board did approve that application. Later, on remand, the circuit court remanded to the board, a board that Commissioner Moore was on. That board determined that that license was dead due to inactivity. At that time, also, the applicants had lost their challenge to have an open-air roof at the location anyway with the Board of Municipal Zoning Appeals. So they purchased a second license, the license that we're here for today at 1015 South Charles. Now, as you may be aware, the other license, as I say, is in the Court of Special Appeals, who has taken an extraordinary amount of time, in my opinion, on answering the question of the license viability. But
I couldn't agree more with you.
I knew I was in the rough end of this fight.
In any event, okay, thank you. So, Councilman, did you want to address this, please?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I've spent more hours of my personal time involved in this issue than probably any other issue professionally in my life. Thousands of hours, more than I would like to recount. My story could be a lot longer than Mr. Fogelman's, but I'll spare you. The MOU, which has been executed with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, which was executed, well over 2 years ago, is without question, from what I've seen at the Liquor Board, the strictest MOU in the city of Baltimore. Not only does it restrict the capacity of persons from 293 to 155, there are restrictions on the hours of an outdoor area, which is now enclosed, requirements for valet. There is an indoor trash room to accommodate other liquor license establishments on that block, and a slew of other restrictions. I am intimately familiar with what's in this MOU because I drafted most of this myself during my time as a community president. This is a long time coming. Well in excess of $2 million in capital investment has been spent on 4 vacant properties that have sat vacant and been an eyesore in the Federal Hill and South Baltimore community since 2009. This is an opportunity to fill in those vacants with a vibrant business that will be safe for the community because of the protections that are agreed to in this MOU, will create jobs in the community, will be a good thing for the community. I have never had less reservation about testifying on behalf of something as I do on behalf of this. I respectfully urge this commission to support this transfer so we can all move forward from this. Thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Did you have a question for the councilman? Can you come forward, please, and speak into the microphone, sir? Yes, speak into the microphone.
And identifiers.
And you are Mr. Valeri, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The agreement refers to an open-air venue. Is that not correct?
I'm not sure what, I'm going to address the commission. I believe that would be more appropriate. I believe Mr. Valeri's question has to do with the issue of the roof. During the negotiations, which started April 3rd, 2013, and most recently culminated in, I would say, mid-2014 before this went to the circuit and its parent court. Please forgive me, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the terminology there. There was a debate over whether or not that area in the outside, what's known as, quote, beer garden, end quote, yard area, should be covered or not. The original proposal was to have it not covered. It has since been 100% enclosed with some type of glass, plastic, clear material that these gentlemen, I'm sure, can tell you exactly what that is made out of. I don't know.
Was that your question, sir?
No. The question here is, the agreement refers to an open-air venue. Wouldn't be open certain months of the year, certain days of the year. And that's not what the actual site is. So it refers to a non-existent venue.
So the question is, I'm sorry, question is whether there is an open area?
No, how accurate is this?
So let me be
There's a lot of ambiguity.
let me be more blunt with the board. There was section near the end of the MOU, section A1, lowercase c, Roman numeral 2, refers to the outdoor portion of the facility will close Sunday through Thursday at 10 p.m. and Friday through Saturday at 11:30 p.m. During the negotiations, there were 6 key points leading up to our initial hearing in front of the Liquor Board in June of 2013. One of those 6 main points had to do with the open air area and how to mitigate the impact of it. Now, there were some members of the community that were of the mindset, some of which are here today, that should be fully enclosed. There were other members of the community at the time, including myself, that felt that there could be hourly restrictions on that to mitigate that sound impact on the surrounding neighbors. The more stricter version was to have it completely enclosed. The less stricter version was to control the hours of operation and mitigate the noise. Now, what you have here in this MOU that was originally executed by the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association is reflects what that area is referred to, outdoor portion of the facility, but that area is 100% enclosed. So, in conclusion, I would respectfully suggest that the contingent of residents that were involved in that negotiation that wanted the stricter of the conditions imposed won out on that individual negotiation point.
So did you have a question?
It just doesn't clarify the ambiguities in it. Half the thing refers to an open air. The other half says that a second community organization disagrees with that. So which is binding? Which way are we going on it?
I don't, so do you know that, you understand this question, Mr. Fogelman?
I think I do. I mean, the truth is that the agreement executed by SB&A in February of 2014 came before the BMZA's decision to disallow an open roof. Since that time, the applicants have spent over $200,000 in installing a glass roof, which is done. In the amendment to the agreement dated the 8th of February 2017, we have replaced section A1C2 of the agreement. It's the first paragraph on the second page, talking about the outdoor portion of the facility. And at the very last sentence says, at the time of the execution of this amendment, FHNA does not support a retractable open roof nor outdoor seating, and licensees are not requesting outdoor seating nor a retractable open roof. So, in a nutshell, the applicants spent a lot of money negotiating that first agreement with SB&A. I wasn't the lawyer then, I was on the board, and didn't want to remove all of those sections in the event that someday BMZA or zoning laws would allow for an open roof. However, we certainly didn't want to ask or force FHNA to agree to something that at this point is an impossibility. So
are we arguing now over something that's not in reality? I mean, it's closed.
Correct.
So does that satisfy you?
It satisfies me, but I don't know how we respond to you have one community organization signed off on an open air. We have a second signed off on a closed roof.
But it's now enclosed.
Which is now enclosed, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
All I say is there's all sorts of ambiguity, and I don't know how we respond if they put a hole in the roof, which, an opening in the roof, some fenestration that.
Well, I guess if these are going to become restrictions upon the license, they can't do that. They'd have to come back and apply for a variance or whatever you might call it.
My problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Ivo Yamrose, Liquor Advisory Chair of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association.
Good afternoon, sir. And
Good afternoon.
you say Yamrose, right?
Yamrosh.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. And just wanted to almost proffer, and Mr. Yamrose can agree or disagree if I'm out of line. Mr. Yamrose is the Liquor Advisory Committee for the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. We spent quite a bit of time with him and President Beth Whitmer in negotiating an MOU. They even held a special Sunday meeting, Super Bowl Sunday meeting, last Sunday at 2 o'clock.
So it wasn't any good till the end anyway.
Well,
The meeting or the Super Bowl, Your Honor?
well, and we the MOU was approved 26-3, which sounds great, but I remember the Falcons were leading 26-3, so I'll wait till we get out of here to make a judgment on that. In any event, Mr. Yamrose was there. He and Ms. Whitmer were the ones who wanted to make sure that it was clear that FHNA does not support some retractable roof that's not even permitted. We also agreed, the applicants agreed, based on this new MOU or this new amendment, to keep the kitchen open until 10:30, at least 10:30 p.m. every night. Additionally, a new item from this amendment is that the licensees are willing, even though the law says annually you have to turn over your food receipts, and this is a BD7 license, but they have agreed to treat it like a restaurant license, and it's the 50-50 ratios. And that those 50-50 ratios usually require annual reporting, as we know. In this case, the applicants have agreed to give quarterly reporting to both neighborhood associations involved here and to meet with the community associations about those financial matters each quarter if requested. That is part and parcel in the also, I'm sorry, that's right on the first page of the amendment to the amended agreement, which, if it's okay, I would ask that the 2014 MOU be marked and received as 1 and the amendment be marked as 2, if that's okay. Thank you.
So,
Bottom of page 1 is the,
so just so I'm clear, you're talking about the MOU with South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, right?
yes, but what I'm talking about with Mr. Yamrose is the changes and the additional protections that were bargained for and agreed to by this group.
But it's not in a separate document.
It is in a separate, it's amendment to.
Amendment to amendment.
It's separate.
I understand it's separate. I meant the Federal Hill Association doesn't have a separate document.
That's correct. That's
what I
correct.
was trying
And
to
Federal
get.
Hill has joined in.
They joined in and helped to negotiate the amendment to the South Baltimore.
Yes, and the applicants have agreed to acknowledge the same obligations to FHNA that they have to SBNA under the 2014
Okay, I see
MOU.
that they're referenced
Plus-
here in the preamble to it, but, okay. That was just a little confusing.
No,
at
no
first.
problem. So really, my point here is to acknowledge that with Mr. Yamrose, that indeed the association did agree to support this amendment, that indeed they have signed, that President Beth Whitmer has signed this agreement, and quite frankly, to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize, because this was a lot of work and it took a lot of time, and I'm proud of this one.
Who are you nominating?
I'm going to nominate Mr. Yamrose and Ms. Whitmer
I
jointly.
think Mr. Councilman Costello might be in contention as well. Maybe they can share it.
I think we could bring him in. So no, but I'm really grateful to FHNA, and I'm grateful SBNA. Mike Murphy, the president of SBNA, is in Ireland right now, so he was unable to be here today.
So, Mr. Yamrose, you heard what Mr. Fogelman has just said. Are you in agreement with all of that?
All of that.
Except for the nomination, I suppose.
Cash only, please.
Okay. Okay. So are there any questions for Mr. Yamrose? Is there anything further that the applicant would like?
Very briefly, for the record, I want to offer you some photos and some other important items. Number 3, thank you very much. Courtesy copies. What you'll see here are before and after photos. What you're looking at on page 1 is before. Those are the properties in general disrepair. You'll see the demolition and build out, and the after, that's a massive wall with a 43-foot ceiling enclosed in glass. You'll also see that we've used all these found materials. The original joists and floorboards are now the paneling on the walls. They even used the original floorboards as the tops of the bar stools that they have made. They have imported actual Oktoberfest party tables from Munich's Oktoberfests past as the tables that will be used in this restaurant. They even have matched up the brick on the sidewalk out front to resemble an old Munich building. They have incredible food planned, Spätzle and pork shanks and lots of other German comfort foods. You'll see a menu there, a draft menu. You'll also see a lease, a parking lease that was entered into in 2014 in order to be approved for zoning at that time. Mr. Foti has been in the business since he was 15 years old, since his parents got him a work permit. He's been in the restaurant business. He has done just about everything he can. He can, or everything he could. He's done back of house, front of house, financial, et cetera. He understands. He signed both of these, both Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2. He understands the capacity. He understands the concerns of the community. I want to say personally that this, to me, is an exciting project. There's something like this in Washington. There's something very like this in Philadelphia. I have driven to other cities many times to participate and to go and eat German food in a authentic beer garden environment. There will be a tree inside of the building. It's picnic tables. It's communal. It's the word is Gemütlichkeit, I think, which is German for camaraderie. And so I think it's an exciting addition to Federal Hill. I'm prepared today, based on the correspondence received by the board, to give a very brief run-through of the history of this license and why I strongly believe that it is, in fact, a viable license.
I'm not sure that we have concerns about that yet, but let's see if the other commissioners do. Is there anything further you want to add before?
No, and Mr. Fotti's been involved for years. And he was on the liquor license at Riley's as their GM for many years, so he has been vetted by this board previously.
Mr. Valeri, did you want to present further testimony? Please do.
My wife and I signed a letter. I don't know if you've had
Yes, we have it. It's in evidence.
If you read it, that's
We will. I just got it.
okay. Yeah, we delivered it on last Friday. I didn't want to go word for word through the letter, but let me summarize. I'm not an attorney, so please be kind if I torture the legal jargon. Barbara and I live in the neighborhood. We belong to, communicate with a number of community organizations, all of which agree that more zombie licenses and mega bars are bad for the community. Over the years, the 180-day rule has been compromised, if not nullified, by the tactic of initiating an incomplete license transfer application, but not acting on it in order to trigger extended tolling of the expiration date. Excuse me. In 2014, a requirement was added to state law to include the transfer application procedures now contained in the current Liquor Board rules and regulations, which have been cited in our letter. These require that an application be complete before being presented to the board. Further emphasizes that the application is not complete unless the applicant has obtained zoning approval. This has been the requirement since 1 July 2014. As noted in our letter of opposition, the application fails on both counts. Tolling was erroneously applied. The license has been expired for over 2 years, and the transfer application should be denied. Further, there currently exists a license for the premises that's currently under litigation and is valid unless and until it's deemed otherwise by the Court of Special Appeals. The law as cited in our letter does not allow for 2 licenses on the same premises. Again, we maintain the application must be denied.
Okay. And did you want to address the validity of the license?
Pretty brief, yeah. First thing Mr. Valeri says, and Mr. Valeri, there was an opportunity for us to meet. We weren't able to meet. However, Mr. Valeri does attend all of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association meetings, including, I believe, Sunday's vote. So with respect to zombie licenses, I understand his concern, but I think the timeline is very clear that the license is alive for these purposes. However, he talks about bar space and mega bars, reminding you again that Turner's capacity just for 1/2 of this property was more than the agreed upon capacity for the MOU. So this is actually a withdrawal of 10 to 25 bar stools that Federal Hill had 4 years ago. So as far as mega bars, this is a technical reduction in the amount of bar stools or patrons in a facility. So that having been said, let me address the licensing issue. December 3rd, 2014, both sides agree that that was the date that the application was filed. Zoning was completed way back in 2014, April of 2014, that same hearing I told you where zoning denied the applicants the right to have an open or retractable roof. It was only about an open or retractable roof. They're in a B22 district, which grants them a right by zoning to operate a restaurant or a tavern. So in fact, Mr. Valeri's mistaken when he says that zoning wasn't approved. What Mr. Valeri saw in the file was a request for some clarification from Jeffrey Veal, zoning administrator, in June or August of 2016. It's a letter you have to pay $40 for, and it was requested so that there was no question that anything had changed since that time. That doesn't mean that zoning approval wasn't reached until August of 2016. It simply means that Mr. Veal verified for the liquor board and for me that in fact zoning was okay for this property. So real quick, zoning was taken care of. The license, with respect to the idea of this multiple licenses issue also. The license was declared dead in 2014. In 2015, the circuit court deemed it alive. 2016, it went to the Court of Special Appeals where it sits. Obviously, this license isn't going to ever go to this location again, regardless of the Court of Special, whatever the Court of Special Appeals does with it. It'll have to be transferred somewhere else. Having understood that law for many years, no two licenses in the same location, I'm pretty sure the understanding behind that was that we don't have Joe's bar in one corner of the room and Pat's bar in the other corner of the room, and then we don't know which customer did what or went where. It's to keep things simple for inspection purposes, not to say that some license that's floating out there on appeal is somehow a bar to getting another license. The license, and the point that you can hang your hat on here is the last time the liquor board ruled on that license, they killed it. So as far as I'm concerned, we've got one license here. And again, the applicants weren't about to go out and buy another license with dubious provenance after learning a very valuable and expensive lesson 3 years ago. And this one was carbon dated to the day. And your staff has vetted the history of this license to show that it was within the 180-day hardship extension when the application was filed on December 3rd, 2014. And today, it's still here and it's still good. And I credit the staff on that. And quite frankly, and this is a relatively new procedure, and what you're doing here, when I was on the board, the staff would pretty much just throw us out there and say, hey, decide if these things are alive or not. I kind of prefer what's going on here. The staff works for you, and the staff gives you some research for you to make that decision. So, I feel very comfortable that this license is not a zombie license. I know it's a cliche, it's something we talk about, it's real, but in this case, this isn't a zombie license. So, again, and I'll let Mr. Valeri go on, and I might have some closing after that. Thank you.
Just before we leave that point, I just want to clarify because I believe we have been advised by our staff that the license is alive and viable. Is that correct, Mr. Ackworth?
If you want me to, I can say a couple words.
No, it's all right. Just for the record. Okay.
It is viable.
Whatever, Mr. Valeri, you'd like to say.
I'd just like to comment. The timeline provided to the commissioners states, quote, zoning board verification was received on 11/4/16, enabling the case to go forward. So it was held in limbo, as it was being told, until you got the zoning board verification, which the law states you should have had on December 3rd, when the application, a copy of which is in the attached in the letter, went forward. So it was not there when it should have been. They put it in 2 years later. This is a zombie license. Regarding the two licenses, it is clear, I'd like to repeat again, that license, the Austin Foti license for 1214 East Cross Street, is valid unless and until deemed otherwise by the Court of Special Appeals. And they have not acted on it.
Okay, anything further?
That's it.
Let's swear Mr. Ackworth in.
Raise your right hand.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And Akras is A-K-R-A-S.
Mr. Akras, two things. First of all, you've heard the conflict over whether the zoning approval was in place in 2014 or not until 2016. Have you had a chance to look into that issue?
I've looked into that issue. I can actually give a very brief timeline of this license and let the board know why it is a valid license. So this license was located on South Charles Street, Joey B's license. In December, I believe it was December 19, 2013, the establishment closed. And in April of 2014, there was a request for a hardship extension. That case was heard before the board in June, I believe it was June 23rd or 26th of 2014. It was the first hearing where former Chairman Judge Ward and Commissioner Moore were actually present and heard that case. That extension allowed an additional 180 days, which was December 14th, 2014. On December 3rd, 2014, this application was filed, thereby tolling that 180-day period. So there was a stop once the application was filed. It's not once the application is filed and we get zoning verification as a complete application. It's once the application is filed. The zoning is for the purposes of ensuring that the board doesn't hear a case it shouldn't hear. The filing of the application alone tolls the time period. It's only if we can present the application to the board once we get zoning verification. And there were, zoning, we couldn't get a finalization from zoning until, and I don't recall the date, it was in late 2016 when the board got the documentation. But there was a zoning decision in, I believe it was 2014, 2015, in regards to this particular case. Now, I can't speak. I did not and was not in charge of the scheduling of cases in regards to this case, and I couldn't, tell the board or testify to the board why this case wasn't heard earlier. I do know that it was originally scheduled for late February of 2015 to be heard, but there was a postponement requested for the purposes of meeting with the community association. Because the board never heard the case, it was told this is a valid license and therefore can be transferred if the board deems so.
Did you have questions for Mr. Akras?
Yes. I'd like to quote from Rule 202, A2. States, all applications shall be complete before submission to the board. In 202A4, the application is not complete unless the applicant has obtained zoning approval. None of these constraints were met.
If I may address that. The SOP, and I'm assuming you're quoting from our standard operating procedures, is that correct, Mr.
Correct.
Mayor? Now, the standard operating
This is
procedures...
also consistent with the law as of July 1st, 2014.
If I may? Standard operating procedure 2.02 was not issued by this board until July 1st, 2016. And that is after this application was filed. But even given Rule 2.02, the law, when we talk about complete applications and applications that can come before the board versus a filed application are two distinct things. So when an application is filed, it doesn't become complete so that the board can hear it until we get zoning verification. But once it's filed, it's filed. And the law, when the law talks about, back in 2014, complete and incomplete, it talks about applications that can be heard before the board, not applications that can't be filed or not filed, and thereby toll the 180-day period.
Did you have anything further?
No, just that the, what I've been reading here, 202A4, is directly copied from the law as it was enacted in July 1st, 2014.
Well, you don't cite to a statute, you cite to our SOP. And
Yeah.
and they didn't come into effect till last year.
The SOP just copied the law that existed.
Well, I'd have to look at the law.
If I may have one question then for Mr. Akers, if
Okay.
that's okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Switch up.
Mr. Akris, you would agree with me that zoning approval versus getting a verification from zoning are actually two different things.
They're two different things. And zoning verification is the process that we go through to ensure that the board doesn't approve something that zoning doesn't allow for, i.e. outdoor table service, live entertainment, the use of a property.
I understand the issues. The commissioners may have questions.
I'll just say, as one of the, I guess I'm the only commissioner here today that was part of the 2014 proceedings, we went through a lot of steps to look at the timeline affecting this location. And we did find that the license that we heard back in, I don't recall the exact date, was not valid. It was the classic zombie license. We ruled such. I understand, and that caused a lot of upset. So much has been invested, not just time and Nobel Peace Prize worthy negotiations, but money. I think the whole energy and focus of Federal Hill community at large was focused on this location. So when we determined that first license was not valid, that was significant. The licensees then went out and they found another license. And to understand that when that license came back, there was a lot of looking again to see what's valid. And we ruled that the extension was properly, timely requested. And it's the tolling provision that I think really trips people up. And it doesn't seem fair, because while there's this tolling period, time is passing. But the law recognizes and does not permit us to act during that tolling period. I mean, it doesn't preclude us from acting, but the lack of action during that tolling period does not invalidate the license. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But as a lay person and as in the community, it looks like, hey, this thing's sitting there on the shelf, kill it already, right? But that's not what the law says. So I have no ambiguity whatsoever that the license that we're looking at today is valid.
Mr. Akris, if we took the initial request without zoning verification, what would have happened?
Well, when you say request, do you mean application, or do you mean?
What they were seeking to do, what the applicant was seeking to do, the transfer, right? What would have happened if it came before the board, if the staff brought it to the board without the zoning verification?
We shouldn't have been able to bring it before the board without zoning verification. The zoning verification now, with the SOPs that we have in place, that this board put into place.
I mean before that, Ms.
Before that?
Before the current SOPs.
In all honesty, the former executive secretary was the individual who is in charge of that process, and she would reach out, and I'm assuming, I was not involved, I was actually not involved in the transfer process at all, so she would reach out to zoning on her own and verify whether or not zoning had approved of this use. We have pretty strict procedures in place now where we actually do reach out to zoning administration and get the verification. I would assume, since I was not doing them, I can't testify under oath that that was done when Michelle,
but as a practical matter, and I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but as a practical matter, if in fact we had taken this up and heard the matter without the zoning being approved, one, that would have been a violation of the law. But
correct.
let's just say, I mean, and that happened. We did do that. This board did do that, and it did it for quite a number of years, and that was wrong. And that's why this board doesn't do that. But had we done that, we more than likely would, and had we approved the transfer, there would have been 180 days to complete that transfer, and the licensee would have had 180 days to complete that transfer, and if on the 181st day that transfer was not completed, the license would be dead.
Correct. That's correct. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
That's essentially where I was going. I mean,
I apologize.
Commissioner Moore articulated it better than I did, but as usual. But
well,
but that's really where I was headed. If we didn't, and that board or whatever entity was here, whoever was here,
right,
probably would have kicked it back, I suspect. And then my guess is they'd have another opportunity to go through the process, and it wouldn't be dead at that point.
Correct.
Is that fair to say?
Depending on when they filed, but
Sure.
yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Is there anything further from the applicant?
Very briefly, just want to, I'm
May I
sorry.
be excused?
Yes.
Thank you. Just want to hit the factors quickly. Public need and desire. You have 2 community associations representing neighborhoods of about 40,000 people in Baltimore who have, their leadership has signed off on this agreement. You have an unusual place, as I've said, you got to go to DC or Philadelphia to find something like this. They're looking to put in unique and special beers that are difficult to find in the area. There's not an incredible market for German beers. There's uniqueness of services and products. We have a parking agreement. We have we have a roof, and we have ameliorated the concerns of many of the residents regarding noise and the like. So I would argue that indeed there is a basis for you to approve this license here today, and I appreciate your extra time. I also appreciate you getting this case in scheduled as it is, in case it became a very lengthy case. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Valerio, is there anything further you wanted to offer the board? Anything further from you?
No, just the dual licenses.
I understand. Okay. Commissioners, anything?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to make sure I'm clear on the dual license issue as well. Can you walk me through that one more time?
Right,
I
Mr.
understand there's
Valeri.
one license that's currently, the issue of the license that is currently before the Court of Special Appeals.
Right.
Pending a decision. Can you explain the second license and
The second license, the license we're here for today. Right. Once the liquor board determined that the license was dead, the applicants bought a license that they investigated the provenance of to make sure it wasn't dead.
I don't understand Italian.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Francais.
I know. Kidding.
Anyway, so basically, they bought a license that, I'm not giving anything away. There is a pending case, and I'm not their attorney on that matter. They bought a license that has been determined by several people that it's dead, that it was too old, that the license, there was a lapse between the period that alcoholic beverage operations had ceased and the filing of the application, et cetera. So that license was declared dead by a liquor board, declared dead, and then revived by a certain.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I will.
That's okay.
So that dead license, or the one that's been deemed dead,
No,
is
it's
that
dead. It's
issue
good and
is
dead.
currently before the Court of Special.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, whatever its status is, when the Court of Special Appeals reviews it, it's going to have to look to the agency determination for its review.
Right. So that license is in
Whatever
limbo.
the status is, it's before the Court of Special Appeals.
Yes.
But, however, what we're in front of today, I want to make sure everyone's clear, is a separate license.
Yes.
That was purchased, right?
Correct. After that decision.
After that decision.
Yes.
Okay.
And they want to transfer it.
Right. No, I understand. I want.
And it's the doctrine of legal impossibility. If they try to come back and move that license into this location with the license that we're here today on, so the practical effect is that if that license is declared alive by the appellate courts, then then they will probably sell it. You'll probably be on a transfer hearing on that. But
Well, I suspect that if
like
they-
Commissioner Moore said, it ain't over. It's
If
not going to
they
be easy.
affirm, it's going to probably have to come back to the board.
Right. Right.
Did you want to add something?
Yes, sir. The court presently has declared that it's valid and it's alive.
I understand the circuit court did. Yes, I understood that. But having served on the appellate court, it's pretty clear to me that that's not the decision that's going to be reviewed. Okay. Anything further? Okay. On the basis then of the evidence that's been presented in the application, the documentary evidence that's been presented and received in evidence today on behalf of the application and in opposition to the application, on the basis of the testimony that we've heard from witnesses in support of the application for the transfer and in opposition to it, as well as the proffers from counsel, the board, at least for my part, the board having taken all that into consideration and understanding what were valid concerns on the part of the opposition, which I hope have been satisfied at this point, and adopting our own agency's interpretation of its rules and statutory requirements, I would vote to approve the transfer of ownership of this Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license from the South Charles Street address to 18 Cross Street.
So coming into this, my question really, there was just one question for me, and that was as to need. Is there a need for this license in this location? And we bring to these hearings all sorts of information and thought and thinking, and I have, I think, 7 sisters, one of whom lives in Washington, D.C. and frequents this thing called a beer garden in D.C., and her only regret is that she wasn't the one to develop it.
Me too.
Because apparently it's hugely successful, very wildly popular, and all of this just makes me feel like the old stodgy older sister who doesn't do any of this. But it's the need, and I think that the licensee has established quite well the need for the license, and I'm persuaded by the MOUs that have been entered into in the agreements, and they are strict, and clearly the licensee agrees and consents to the MOUs being part of this license and will adhere to them. Being well aware of the community concerns and the number of community associations in Federal Hill, having the agreement of 2 doesn't mean you have the agreement of all, and so strict adherence is going to be really, really important. I appreciate the efforts that have been applied to make this happen, and when we are able to give out peace prizes, we'll certainly put y'all at the top of the list. So for all that, and for the reasons stated by our chair, I support the MOU.
Thank you.
I join my colleagues as well. I know these are tough issues, and I know this often puts business pitted against community at times. But I appreciate the fact that both have worked together, even despite some opposition that I think was respectful, which certainly folks in the federal government could learn from. But I do appreciate that. I also think that I think it's a great symbol. It's a great signal that you took the time to look at the city. You took the time to identify vacant properties in a corridor that could use it, and you invested in it. And I appreciate that, because it's a problem. It's a problem in this city, and you took the time from your small perch to address it. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate that you worked closely with the community organizations, associations, to address issues that were important to them. Hours, parking, sound. You abided by the BMZA. I think that, I applaud you for that, because this, I know, is not an easy process. I also applaud the community for registering their concerns and for the most part, having them heard and addressed. And so for those reasons, I would join my colleagues in approving it.
Just to clarify, the transfer is granted subject to all the terms contained in the MOU as amended. And so, Mr. Valeri, if they violate it, we will be back here. But I hope you will not, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Fill the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of opposition dated February 3rd, 2017. Applicant Exhibit 1, original MOU between applicants and South Baltimore Neighborhood Association dated February 12, 2014. Applicant Exhibit 2, amended MOU between applicants and South Baltimore Neighborhood Association incorporating Federal Hill Neighborhood Association dated February 8, 2017. Exhibit 3, business plan, including 11 photos, menu, and lease. Thank you.
Mr. Akers, I believe that's the afternoon docket.
Yes, sir.
We will recess until next week or the week after.
23rd. Yep. On next week?